Hey friends, it's a great day outside, so I thought I would take advantage of the weather and come to you from the hillside. Hope you're well and enjoying Advent. Hopefully getting some time with loved ones close to you as we all continue to navigate a different kind of Advent this year. I'll take a minute and walk through our prayer list. So let me go ahead and do that now just to give you some updates. Ann Holt had cataract surgery today, so we want to remember Ann. Al Lowry is still at UAB Hospital facing gallbladder surgery. Libby Brown has not been feeling particularly well and has been in Grandview Hospital the last few days, and Mike Chandler continues in his rehab at Lake Shore. And those are our church members that we know of at this time who are in the hospital. Of course, we're also remembering the Ammons family in the loss of Dawn, a longtime devoted member of our church. So we want to remember Maxine and their family in these days. As you pray, please do have these friends in mind and continue to let us know of others that we can add to our prayer list. That's best way to see that is through the website. You can log in there and see the updated prayer list. We continue in Advent, and even though we're in the second week now, the week of peace, I seem to be stuck last week thinking about Advent hope. We're hopeful for a lot this season, and it's not that kind of hope not the long shot hope, right? We're not hoping for a 50-yard field goal or cashing in on a scratch and win lottery ticket. It's not that kind of Christmas miracle we're hoping for. We have the kind of hope that looks realistically at the world, looks in the face of God's unfinished work, and yet even so says with confidence, "Come, Emmanuel." So it seems for me this year is worth, at least for Mike McBrayer, it's worth 2 weeks of hope for Advent. And not that I'm not ready to move on to peace, but I'm hoping for hope. And if I can one more time include hope in this paragraph, I can say I do hope that you and your family are well, and look forward to when we can be back together soon. Have a great evening.
Many years ago, Vicki and I had the privilege to take a weekend off and go up to Maine during the fall. And we got there early on a Sunday morning before we were scheduled to go to church. And I walked down to the ocean near the lighthouse and sat down on the rocks near the water during high tide and listened to the sound of the ocean. And I read from the Psalms, from Psalm 8 and 19 and 33, listened to the waves and looked at the beautiful rocky glory of that seacoast, and prayed and spent about an hour there. In the stillness, I found myself focused on Psalm 19, 1 through 4. The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night declares knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words. Their voice is not heard, yet their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In the heavens, he has set a tent for the sun. I was especially drawn to the third and fourth verses when the psalmist says that while there is no speech nor words, yet their voice goes out to all the earth. And I wondered, what does that mean? What is it that nature actually says to us? First, nature says to us that there's order, even in the middle of conflict and disorder. Nature is full of the big picture. Day after day, I thought this cycle of living and dying and balance and advance, it goes on without any awareness on my part. And while it's certainly true that this balance includes some very terrifying displays of power and cruelties from our perspective, nevertheless, we also know that there is an interdependency in nature, a sense in which this all has something to be part of the food chain, the massively complex social order, and we do find a deep sense of kinship in nature. a sense that there really is something higher to this. Secondly, I think we're touched by the beauty of the natural world. Beauty points beyond itself to something greater. Now, some places are more beautiful than others and some more hospitable than others. When we lived in Central Texas, the climate was extremely harsh and difficult and unpleasant. The heat in the summer was like a personal laser beam on your head, and we were laughing with some good friends who came through from Texas one time, and we told them that when we lived there, we lived on this barren, rocky hill with no trees, and the sun beat down mercilessly in the summertime, and we just stayed in the house all summer. Even the lizards hated to move around. And when the children were acting up badly, my wife would say, "All right, girls, if you don't stop, I'm going to make you go outside and play." And they would beg her, "Please, Mama, don't send us outside." But I've learned a deeper truth that if you stay somewhere long enough and keep looking and waiting and listening, you'll hear the beauty. Whether it's the scientist with a microscope or cowboy in West Texas in the sunset, the beauty of creation is everywhere to be seen if we're receptive to it. And in that Central Texas environment, a couple of weeks every summer, a whole field of bluebonnets blossomed behind us, and it was one of the most spectacular things I ever saw. The sunsets were amazing. Thirdly, in nature, we see this upward thrust in life towards survival and growth and the attainment of purpose. I read a book once that was by a botanist who said that in plants and trees, um, life thrives in different ways. And when plants are wounded or bruised, a limb on a tree is damaged, the cells begin to congregate more densely where the pain and the hurt is to make more sturdy the wounded limb until it can right itself again. And the leaves reach up to the life-giving sunlight. In all of nature, there's this movement upward toward completion. And fourth, the vastness of nature fills us with a sense of wonder. The infinities of space, the mountaintops with cornices so deep in snow that we can't dig to the bottom, they all stir in us this sense that we're not the center of the universe. So there is this sense that beyond us, this foundational truth, God is God and we are not. Kathleen Norris once wrote in her award-winning book, Dakota, about the changes that came over her as a New York City resident and writer who had to move back to her native western South Dakota to care for her parents. In a chapter called Sea Change, she says the move was not only from a busy city to a barren plain, it was not just a change of place, it was a change of pace. My sense of time and space changed so radically, she said, I might as well have gone to sea. Like all those who can choose life in the slow lane, sailors and monks and farmers, I partake of a contemplative reality. Living close to such an expanse of land, I find a little incentive to move fast. I learned to trust the processes that take time, to value change that isn't sudden or ill-considered, but grows out of the ground of experience. So, such change that you experience in that setting is a kind of turning around and turning back and turning our attention to things in a different way. The thing about cities is that everybody who lives in them is in some kind of hurry. It's not that you mean to or that you always have to be, but you just kind of live that way. And there's good living in cities, but it's also challenging to experience the goodness of it. So many of our hobbies and spare time things that we do are really things that make us slow down. Golfers go out and walk along grassy places and um, uh, lake houses, beach houses, mountain houses, rock climbing, flying, boats. It's all moving us back closer to nature a little bit if you think about it. And we fill our yards with beauty. We grow flowers. We have gardens and grass because there's something in us drawn to that space. And so it's a pretty powerful thing. And it is always that which reminds us that we are not God. As I was sitting by that seashore that morning, I was enjoying this Sunday off, and listening to the waves on the shore, and suddenly I realized I was not alone. And I looked up, and there was a seal that had popped his head up above the water, and he was looking right at me. And I didn't know what to make or how long he or she had been there, but for a long time we just looked at each other and neither of us moved. I was completely transfixed with the beauty and wonder of this moment and of the great God who's also watching us when we're not aware of it. And I think about that as I think about the fact that in this Christmas season, there are these little pieces of the description of the first Christmas that say, without speaking, the heavens were crying out. When Jesus came, we're told a star guided wise men from the east, and brilliant lights shone in the glory of heaven. Jesus later would walk on water and catch fish with coins in their mouths and cause the nets to burst at other times. And he told us about fields full of treasure so great, a man would sell all he had to just possess it. And if you plant in the right place, harvest will overflow. He used ordinary mud to give sight to the blind and a bucket of water to win a broken woman's soul again. And he calmed stormy waves. They'd never seen anything like him. And so I wonder if heaven and earth weren't in a way kind of showing us all along this gift that God gave us, singing and rejoicing and praising. We have forgotten, so full of our sins, so broken from our Creator, that we've lost sight of the glory of creation itself, which was created to worship and attest to the Father. He had to open our eyes and ears again so we would rejoice, so that the joy that God planned from the beginning of all time would be real, and we could let heaven and nature sing again, and the weary, sin-drenched world would see the light and come to life once again. In the song Joy to the World, there is a reference in Isaac Watts' lyrics based on Psalm 98, and the third verse in most hymnals is less familiar, and it says this: "No more let sin and sorrow grow, nor thorns infest the ground. He comes to make his blessings flow, far as the curse is found, far as the curse is found, far as the curse is found." Grace returns blessing to its rightful place. So bless your children, bless your enemies, bless sinners and failures, bless everyone you meet. They're heirs to a kingdom, and somebody needs to tell them. And I think possibly no time more than this one, when it is so easy to curse and to complain and to gripe and to fear, do we need to look up and look at nature around us and be reminded that beyond the anxiety of human society, God, like that incredible seal sticking its head up out of the water, is there and is beholding us and is there to be found by us. I want to share this song with you as we go tonight, and it's a song I wrote many years ago. It's called This Christmas Eve, and it's one that I've enjoyed singing every Christmas to myself, but I sang it once in worship in our Christmas Eve service, and I hope it might bring you a blessing. Hope you enjoy these images and this song, which is about looking up at the stars and thinking about the glory of God.
Band of shepherds in the night, without a clue what lay in store. Heaven and earth brilliant with light, the hope of something more. This is the wonder, this is the glory, this is the mystery. that a life of flesh and blood came to set us free. If we can only lift our eyes and see. Wise men left their homes behind, seeking the truth with gifts they came. But you can also journey home and find it just the same. This is the wonder, this is the glory, this is the mystery, that a life of flesh and blood came to set us free. This the world's desire, this Christmas Eve. I lift my eyes into this night without a clue what lies in store. Will I look up and find my light, the hope of something more? This is the wonder, this is the glory, this is a mystery, that my life of flesh and blood longing to be free. Oh, that divine love, like some sweet dove, might descend with heaven's peace. This is my deepest prayer, this Christmas Eve.